Good morning, everybody. It's Dr. Karen, and today I wanted to share some ways that you can, as a parent, support your child and figure out how to best collaborate with the teachers and possibly therapists or other special service providers that are working with your child. So, obviously, as a parent, you can make a huge impact on your child's ability to make progress with their education. So, just all the things that they're working on in school. And then also, if your child gets some kind of special services like speech therapy, if they're working with a special ed teacher, if they're working with an occupational or physical therapist, or any other types of services, if you're doing things outside of that session and outside of those classes, then your child is going to be way more independent than if you just, send them to therapy and then don't think about it until their next therapy session or until their next school day. So there are a lot of things that you can be doing as a parent. The problem is that it can be overwhelming to figure out how exactly to do that. And so it can be easy to I don't want to say not do anything, but it can be easy to kind of jump around and feel uncertain about whether or not you're doing the right thing. So today I wanted to give you some clarity on how you can do that the most effectively so that your child is getting the most out of their education and any services that they're getting. Also, I wanted to share my framework for how I mentor SLPs. I am an SLP myself, and I have some programs where I mentor SLPs and teach them a framework to improve language processing. So, the ability to understand language needed for things like reading and writing that are going to help children to do better in school, because those are skills that will impact them across their entire day and entire across their entire academic experience. So I wanted to share my framework for how I mentor SLPs because that's going to give you some insight into where you fit into that puzzle, because there are different people on that team of individuals that is going to be working with the child, and obviously you are an essential part of that team as a parent. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how you fit in. So let's get going with that. So how I started, if you have a child who is in school, one of the most important things that they can do as far as making progress in school is learn how to comprehend what they're reading. So be able to make meaning from text and understand that and learn independently from text, and also be able to put words into writing so that they can respond on written essays and things like that. If they can do those two skills, that's going to make a big impact on their ability to perform in school, because once you get past third grade, you are really reading to learn rather than learning to read. So you have to be able to look at a textbook and make sense of it, because that's going to impact the way that you're making progress and learning in the content areas like science, social studies, and then obviously they still will have an English and language arts class as well. And in that English and language arts class, they'll have to be writing essays, but they're also going to have to transfer those skills over to other areas where they're writing extended responses. And then they're also going to have to be reading and following directions and things like math. So those are huge skills for your child to have. And then the other thing that they're going to have to do is figure out how to manage their life and keep track of all their material so that they know where to go as far as their schedule during the day, keeping track of homework assignments, learning how to self-regulate as they're doing different assignments. So being able to monitor themselves, to be able to make sure that they are paying attention and staying on task. Because if they can do those things, if they can stay organized, if they can comprehend what they read, and they can do written responses pretty well, and if they're able to pay attention and stay organized and be independent with their work, those are the things that need to be in place for them to be able to learn independently, so that you're not having to directly teach all those different skills that they're working on. So how I do it is that when I have SLPs who come to me that have students who struggle to read, stay organized, comprehend what they're hearing and reading, so those kids who might have difficulties paying attention, who might have a hard time learning to read and comprehending what they read. Maybe you read something, you ask them a question, and they have no idea what they just read. And these are the kids that tend to be, they have more difficulty just staying organized in general. So if you have a child who struggles with some of those skills and struggles with that independence, there are all kinds of different people that could be working with that child. So where I see parents fitting in is that the practitioners, so the people who are working with the child at school, so the special ed teachers, speech pathologists, if your child gets speech therapy services, or other professionals like reading specialists, for example, they are the ones that are really giving that direct instruction in reading, learning to read. So teaching your child how to decode specific words, teaching them how to spell, and teaching them those math skills. So they're the ones that are going to be delivering that instruction firsthand, unless you're homeschooling your child. Obviously, then you're going to be filling the teacher's role as well. They're going to be the ones that are delivering that instruction. And then where you can come in as a parent is, number one, if they give you any homework assignments for extra skills that they want you to practice specific to those reading or math skills, you can review some of those things, but you're not going to be the one that's delivering the main instruction. You're going to be following their recommendations as far as just supplementing that. And where you can also come in is that you can teach your child and work on what's known as executive functioning skills. So those are the skills like being able to attend and focus, being able to stay organized, being able to understand when I do a task, what are the steps that I need to take in order to get this done. Those are the types of skills that are going to help your child be more independent while they're working through all of those other things. So we've got these specific splinter skills and these specific things like reading and math that the teachers are delivering. And then where you can come in is you can help your child be independent so that they're able to attend and figure out how to look at a task that has a lot of different steps and figure out how to do it. And there are a lot of ways that you can reinforce this at home that is going to help your child in school. So your child's teachers might be working on executive functioning skills for specific academic tasks like writing an essay, figuring out reading comprehension strategies. And obviously you can reinforce some of those things if you're working on those at home with your child. But where you can do it, where you have the opportunity to do that, where the teachers don't, is in those daily tasks that your child has to do, like doing chores, getting ready for school in the morning, getting all of their papers and homework assignments organized, figuring out how to make a meal. All of those things require executive functioning skills. So again, executive functioning skills are those things, those abilities to figure out where your end goal is, figure out what steps you need to take in order to get there, and figure out how to do it. So it enables you to be productive and successful and stay on task and actually figure out, when I wake up in the morning, what do I need to do today? So if you have a child that seems to be underachieving, you know that they're pretty intelligent, you know that they have abilities, but for whatever reason, they're having a hard time getting it together. Maybe they have a hard time staying focused. Maybe they're easily distracted. And again, you know that they're intelligent, but for whatever reason, they're not able to sit with the task. A lot of times it's an executive functioning issue because they might just have a hard time getting organized and figuring out what steps are next. So again, while teachers and professionals that are working with your child at school might be really modeling how to do those specific tasks within academic things like reading comprehension, you can be doing that at home. And that way you are reinforcing that and you're teaching your child how to be independent. And that's something that can transfer over to those skills at school. And if you're teaching your child to be more independent, to be able to monitor their own behavior, to be able to figure out how to tackle tasks that have multiple steps, how to stay organized and figure out where they're supposed to be when, that's going to help them be more successful in school so that they're more focused, they're less distracted, and they can get the most out of their education when they're actually there. So this is a great way that you as a parent can help your child get the most out of their education and really reinforce what's being done in school from a different angle. Again, because teachers and therapists, they might not get as much time with your child to be able to work on those functional tasks, like being able to make a meal, for example. And you can work in some reading comprehension skills if they're having to read a recipe, for example, or read directions on assembling, a shelf or something like that. There are ways that you can take what the teacher's doing and do some kind of executive functioning task or teach them how to be organized at home. So the thing about executive functioning skills is that these are kind of those high level skills that impact our ability to do any other thing that we do, because we might be really good at maybe decoding words. We might have knowledge about certain topics just from life experiences, but we're not going to be able to see that performance if we can't organize ourselves and monitor in order to be able to perform on a certain task. So, for example, your child might know a lot about history or something like that, but then maybe they're not doing well on their tests because they're having a hard time paying attention. So if we work on those executive functioning skills, those kinds of things can improve, and the performance on some of those academic tasks that your child has to do in school can actually improve. A lot of times if you have a child who's kind of underachieving, when we work on these tasks, we can start to actually see their true abilities come out on some of those other tasks. And it can make them more independent on not just tests and getting better grades, but also just more productive in their lives on more functional things as well. And that can make your life easier because you'll have a child who is more independent, needs less hand holding with just basic day-to-day things like getting ready, and they can potentially be in a position where they're more independent and can actually help out around the house. So those are some things that can be impacted by executive functioning. So I have a free guide for parents that walks through the specific executive functioning skills. There are actually 8 of them. And understanding what those skills are can help you determine if your child might need work on executive functioning and how to start when it comes to working on it. Just the first step is always figuring out what's going on and what are those skills that we could be working on before you figure out, okay, what activities do I actually need to do in order to help my child? So if you have a child who is not performing to their abilities, who is easily distracted, who maybe seems like they're not motivated, and you're not really sure, is it just hard for them? Why aren't they responding? And, why do they seem like they don't want to do their work? Why do they need so much hand holding? Or why aren't they making progress and able to do things that I think they should be able to do based on their age? Then feel free to sign up for my guide. I have a link in the description above this video, and you can click on that link, sign up for my free ebook where I walk through those 8 different types of executive functioning skills so you can learn some skills that you can address with your child to help them be more independent. Thanks so much for listening.